guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. Today I'm taking a look at the Corsair XENEON gaming monitor because it is their first flourish, or foray I should say, into screens. They're obviously covering a lot of bases with other things now, and they thought they would have a pop at a gaming screen. Now, there are some specifications that have raised some eyebrows, but I'd like to kind of try and discuss my take on them as well. But anyway, 32-inch screen, quite big. It's 2560 by 1440. A lot of eyebrows have been raised about 4K, but we'll discuss that. It's got a VESA HDR 400, which admittedly it's entry-level HDR 400, but it is the actual VESA version, however you'd like to pronounce it. 165 Hertz, 1 millisecond, and like I said, it's 1440p. Now, 1440, a lot of people will kind of question why they haven't gone 4K straight away. But if you think about it, if you've got a 165 Hertz screen, you'd need a graphics card to be able to take your game at 4K to 165 Hertz to see the best of it, because it does also support G-Sync, but it also does feature FreeSync Premium. So you've got the kind of the pair of them going along there for frame matching. Which is why I said about you'd need a graphics card to actually be able to drive your game to 165 Hertz. Because if you're not driving it to 165 Hertz or even getting close, then you're not kind of getting the most from your screen. Sure, it will look better, but you're not going to get the absolute best from it. So going to 1440p almost halves the pressure that it's going to be putting on your graphics card. So I personally actually rate a faster 1440p screen than going up to a 4K screen and then maybe worrying about getting to 120 or something. But obviously with 4K and 120 Hertz, you would actually need HDMI 2.1 then as well. And new technologies, they cost money. In the back, it does have a DisplayPort and a couple of HDMIs. So if you did want to have your gaming system on one side and then maybe a TV input, DVD input, maybe a console input, you can easily switch between them using the on-screen input source. But you can also, which is kind of handy, use iCUE as well. Now you can use this as a bit of a hub as well. So you can, there are USBs in the back. There is, because we're doing this, there is a USB-C out on the back which goes into the PC. You can also use the onboard USB-As to plug something like your keyboard on your monitor in to keep things tidy. Or you can get external iCUE items now, like the lighting towers and stuff that you could use for that. I personally, if I was going to say about using numerous amounts of USB items, I'm personally still a favour of a USB hub. It can be a little bit more difficult when it comes to updating firmware, but nevertheless, USB hub hidden underneath the desk can make things really easy. So it's 32 inches, it's lovely, it's got a lot of adjustment. The base has split opinions. I personally think it's really nice. One of the things I will say though is because the base is so big, it does actually take a lot of room up on the desk. As you can see in the B-roll, I'm using a normal 60 centimetre deep IKEA desk in the footage. It's the one I'm sat beside of in the actual film as well. And you are a little bit close. It's going to be a bit touch and go whether you think it's too close to you for being able to absorb everything within the game. IKEA do a 75mm deep desk, which I also use in the office as well. I personally think it's a better suit. That's a personal preference though. It's just something I'm going to give you a bit of advice on. The IKEA desktops aren't a lot of money either. And yes, I have got a 1000D full up with Budweiser and fans and stuff holding one end of my desk up. I've played games with it on a 3080 Ti to really stress things out. I've actually found with the stuff that I've been using, I've not seen 165 Hertz, but what I have seen has been glorious, if a little bit dark. I did think that the contrast out of the box was a little bit dark, but let's face facts. There are lots of settings that you can change in iCUE that you can tune it to your own personal preference. And we've also got the picture modes that you can play around with as well. You've got standard, movie, text, sRGB, creative, and then game. games definitely did look better in game, but I just wanted to kind of say that, you know, some people forget that you do need to tweak with your screens to your personal preference just as much as you do anything else. Now prices are coming in at $699 for us in Blighty, and I'm being told $799 for those of you over in the United States of America. So I actually think a lot of people again have said that's quite expensive, but for a 1440p high refresh rate screen, and they've got a 0 pixel warranty on it as well. So if you get a pixel go on it, they'll replace it. They're not going to say to you there's not enough of them have gone, and they're not going to do anything. It also means that when it arrives, it has to be absolutely perfect, and that kind of goes says a lot for their quality control and their faith in the brand and the panels that they are using. I've actually really enjoyed using this. It's one of those ones where it kind of comes, and yes, we know that they go, and they go all too fast. But the bezel on it's really nice and small. The Corsair touches on it are really nice. Have to say the base, I actually like the footing of it. I personally really like, despite the fact it makes me think of a potato peeler. It does look like the sort of thing that you could literally, or even a pumpkin peeler if you think about it, because it's so big. But I have liked just routing it around the back. There are cable routes around the back of the monitor as well, and it does help to keep it all looking nice and tidy. I like the fact that the base is a bit bigger than normal as well, because most of us do end up running a single screen. I know a lot of people that do streaming end up with other monitors further afield, but there is quite a lot of adjustment. You can, if you want, tilt it, and in all of the directions. I had it kind of nice for the way I was sat earlier. So there's plenty of adjustment there for you as well. And that was the one thing I did think, that considering Corsair are so streamer focused, was there's no way to flip it round, because I know a lot of streamers like them in the other way, kind of like the portrait way, so that you can then read comments and that sort of thing. So maybe that's the one thing I'm surprised that they've done, but why you would then want a 32-inch screen tilted the other way, it would be a little bit nuts, but still it made me wonder. So, first screen, 1440, I personally think was the right call. 27 to 32 inch for a gaming screen, I actually think is the perfect sweet spot as well. Being 32, it might need to sit a little bit further away. Colours are beautiful, plenty of adjustment, lots of things that you can tweak and play with. The fact that you can set it up or within software on your PC, rather than having to mess around with the little scroller around the back like I actually have to on my personal screens, makes life so much easier and quicker. And the other thing that I thought was kind of nice as well, and it's a very strange one, you know, normally you have like, sometimes you have a button down the bottom, sometimes you don't have them at all, but you can actually just turn the flipping thing off as well. My ones, again, they don't go off. There is no actual off switch. They just come on when there's power. So I like seeing that logo as well. The more I see the little sails now, the more I'm glad that the tramp stamp has gone. Anyway, also, I have to say, the fourth version of iCUE is so much better now. It's actually genuinely really starting to bring the ecosystem together. It's been a really nice touch. When I plugged the monitor in, it picked up straight away that there was a firmware update available. It actually picked up straight away that the H170i that I've got in the system behind me, that I didn't build for this, it's one that I built from before, but it picked up straight away that that had a firmware update available and sorted out an issue that I didn't even know about. So there's lots of things. Also, when Far Cry was running earlier on, it's automatically switched to a Far Cry profile for the RGB and stuff, which was lovely. It was like, what's going on? Breakfast. So yeah, I've actually really enjoyed it. It's actually now such a shame that they want it back, because I'd kind of like to leave that here for when my friends come round. I obviously have my own PC, but friends come round to visit. They're like, why are you working so much, Tom? Oh, we're doing this next DDR5 launchy stuff. And then they ignore me for a couple of hours because they end up sitting and playing Microsoft Flight Simulator. Or the other day, pre-launch Far Cry 6, I had a few friends here because they were like, what, you've got that already? Anyway, you know what it's like. It would have been nice to have had a beautiful screen for that. So I'm actually, and that's the way I like to kind of judge a lot of stuff. Am I sad it's going to be going? I'm actually gutted this is going to be going. So yeah, I'd kind of really like another one, and that I think should say or speak volumes. So for now at least, this has been my very brief time with the Corsair XENEON. Beautiful 1440p, 165 Hz, 32-inch screen. Their first way in, and I think they have done an absolutely cracking job. Yeah, thanks Corsair. Finally Tom Logan out. Ding. Love you, sis.